Here's Beatitude number 2. Are you ready? Oh, we've got 8 more to go. And I won't be able to discuss every single one of them in depth. So we will be choosing, which will be really go deep, and then the others will just skim through. So here we go. Beatitude number 2. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Who was he speaking? He was speaking to people, a group of people. Remember, the poor, the sick, the paralyzed, the epileptic, the demon-possessed, the rejected. They were mourning. They were grieving. They were weeping. They were suffering. But Jesus was connecting the crowd who was in front of him, the disciples who were in front of him, to another group of people who were mourning some 600 years ago. They were called the Anawim. The Anawim is a Hebrew word which means the poor of the Lord. But specifically, Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, tells them, directs the word Anawim to the Jewish exiles. The Jewish exiles. Now remember that. Now you might, who are they? I'll give you a little history lesson. Important. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon, his name's, I like how it linguistically rolls in your tongue. King Nebuchadnezzar. Although naming your next baby after him, I don't know. But it's up to you. King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon conquers Israel, conquers Jerusalem, flattens the city, flattens it. And then the citizens of Jerusalem, he makes them slaves. And he leads them in chains, to a 2,600 kilometer march. You remember you have a Bataan March, the Death March here in the Philippines? Okay, something like that. All the way to Babylon, and they were led there. A lot of people died along the way, and so on. So they became slaves. And then this is what happened. So Babylon conquers Israel, but then a few years later, Persia conquers Babylon, which is the story of all bullies, right? Every bully will meet another bully who will be bigger. But then that built, okay, you know the story. So 70 years after they were led into exile, the Jews were able to return back to Jerusalem. The group of people that went back to Jerusalem, this is this is what the prophet Isaiah says, they were the Anawim. Because when they returned to Jerusalem, what they saw made them weep. 1,000 tears. And for many days they wept and they wept and they wept because they saw, for example, they saw their temple, the pride of the nation, flattened in ruins. And then they saw Jerusalem, the greatest city of Israel. It has become rubble, rocks and stones. And they said, oh no. And they wept and they mourned. And then look at what Isaiah says about them. Let me read it to you. This is so powerful. He said, Prophet Isaiah, this is in chapter 61, verse 2. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come, and with it the day of God's anger against their enemies. To all who mourn. So remember, Jesus is referencing that. If you're a Jew and you're listening to when Jesus said, blessed are those who mourn, for theirs, they will be comforted. You're a Jew. You automatically think of that what did prophet Isaiah say? And this is what he said. To all who mourn in Israel, he will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. God was saying, let's barter. Let's have an X deal. Give me your ashes, and I will give you back beauty. Give me your tears, and I will replace it with a crown. Give me your despair, and I will give you a feast. Oh, we go on. In their righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord had planted for his own glory. Verse 4. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, repairing cities destroyed long ago. They will revive them, though they have been deserted for many generations. Friends, I want you to think of this. I want you to believe this, that if right now you've experienced destruction, that will be restored. And if you've lost something, it will be returned. This is the promise of God to the Anawim. How? will it happen? When will it happen? Where it will happen? I don't know. But first things first. Before you receive the blessings of God, please know that the blesser himself is receiving you and saying, you're my VIP. And when you understand that the blesser is with you, you have everything. This is what Jesus was saying. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. We need to go on. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Meek, what does that mean? Someone who doesn't think very important, that he's very important. No, he's not important. He thinks that way. But also someone who other people think is not also important. And then it says here, for they will inherit the earth. What does that mean? Well, let's take that into context. You're a Jew. You own this land. Imagine 2,000 years ago, okay? And you own this land, inherited from your father, who inherited from his father, who inherited from his own father. And your children were born in that land. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of Roman soldiers march into your land and start talking with one another and measuring, and there's this huge number of soldiers, and you're there, and then you're saying, excuse me, what's happening? And then the Roman soldier says, we're confiscating this land. The general wants to build a Olympic-sized swimming pool and a jacuzzi over there and a karaoke bar over here. So you own this land? Okay, go away, or else your whole family dies. So you're there, you're suffering, you are going through incredible injustice. And then Jesus says, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the land. One day, whatever wrongs that has been done to you, it will be made right. And you will experience the justice of God. And so this is Jesus telling when, how, where, you don't know, I don't know, whatever suffering or injustice you're going through, but please know that the first things first, the blesser is with you. The blesser is beside you. God is with you. And when God is with you, you have everything and you hold on to that. We need to go on. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Once upon a time, I thought that this means blessed are those who aspire for holiness. But it doesn't fit the context. No, this verse means those who have gone through suffering, because this is his crowd, this is his audience, people who have gone through injustice. Guess what? They will receive, they will be filled. Why filled? Because the kingdom of God is a banquet. And I want you to believe that. I want you to have hope that you will receive the fullness of the kingdom. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Oh, mercy is so not only will these people who need the justice of God and the blessings of God, not only will they receive the blessings, but those who show these people mercy. And this is a call at this time when it's so easy to be locked up in your house and just to think about yourself and just to watch 300 movies and my refrigerator is full, I'm okay, but number one, pray for the people who are going through suffering, please. Number two, maybe there's a way of just calling up those who are lonely. So many people are afraid right now, and a phone call or a text message will be wonderful for that person. So think of the people who are suffering outside, and then who knows, maybe there's a neighbor, somebody that is in need of money, in need of food right now, and needs your help. And so that's something that you can do. And of course, donating to different groups and organizations that are helping out. You don't even have, yes, we do. We're doing our little works of love here at the Feast, and just help, just find ways of being able to do it. Because mercy is action. Mercy is not like, hi, I feel sorry for you, I pity for you. No, it's mercy is action. That's what we're saying. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. What does that mean? Pure in heart. How can you have a pure heart? Multiple choice. How to have a pure heart. Number one, pray for 3 hours on your knees. Put mongo if you want. beneath your knees. 2, take a spiritual retreat up a mountain for 7 days where you just, read the word. And 3rd, listen to a makapagbagdamdaming preaching, fantastic preaching. Listen to that so that you'll have a... Number 4, get Clorox and put it on your chest. And okay. I want you to know that all the things I've shared, almost all, except number 4, are good. Praying 3 hours, and the retreat and the listening to preaching. All of that is good. But the best, most effective way of purifying your heart is, you want to know? I want to share this with you, that in Isaiah 48, it says, verse 10, I have refined you in the furnace of suffering. Yes, sadly, but it's true. The best and most effective way of purifying your heart is through the suffering that we experience. It's through trials. And the people that Jesus was speaking to, they were going through all sorts of trials. And Jesus was saying, blessed are the pure, for they will see God. And are you going through your trials right now? If you choose, sufferings is like a fork on the road. Will you still follow God in the midst of that suffering, or will you reject him? And I pray that your answer is, I will still follow God, because when you do, then you begin to have a pure heart. And then finally, not finally, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. During that time, there were many factions during the time of Jesus. There was the zealots. These were the, think NPA, armed rebels. And then you've got the Sadducees. These were the priests. These were the rich guys running the temple. And then you've got the Pharisees. These were the teachers of the law. And then you've got the Essenes. The Essenes are people who said that, this society is going to go bonkers and everyone will be condemned to hell. Let's get out of the city. And so they went to the desert. They lived in a community. So there were people who, they're definitely, and it's the picture of today. Different groups fighting each other and so on. Groups are good. We need groups. In the book of Genesis, it says, God says it is not good for man to live alone. So we need groups. But here's the thing. What happens is that when the group becomes the center of your life and not God anymore, then the groups begin to fight. But the group of people that Jesus was speaking to, the Anawim, the people who had no power, if you have no power to maintain, there is lesser reasons to have conflict. When there is no ego at play, then there is lesser reasons for conflict. Because here's the thing. Great suffering, when you have great suffering, it makes all divisions petty. I'm going to say that again, and that's what's happening right now. Now, in this crisis, you see that. You see that former enemies, all of a sudden, because of the need and the suffering and the crisis, you see them, contacting each other. And I know of some people, they don't know, gosh, I can die tomorrow. And so they start talking to people who they thought that they had so much resentment for. They realized, no, let's remove and let's make a decision. And I pray that you do that. I pray that you do that now. And here's the last passage. Where am I? Here we go, verse 10, book of Matthew. Blessed, last Beatitudes. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. This is what Jesus is saying, and I need to close here. That this group of people who were going through so much suffering in their poverty and their sickness and being rejected by society, they decided to follow Jesus. They became God followers. But guess what? When they did, you know what happened? They experienced more suffering because they were persecuted by society. Oh, you're following Jesus. And so that's why I told you this talk is deep and dangerous and difficult, but it's liberating. I'll tell you why. No, I'm not going to tell you why. Audie will tell you why. God bless you, everybody.